the most important thing is to see light.
Exactly. Because it's not this rhetoric. This talk is too much.
Electricity is not rocket science. I'll give an example. When I was growing up, in a place called Jakarta, where you have the steel plant, the mega steel plant. So the steel plant itself came with a power plant that had the capacity to power the entire Jakarta and environs. In fact, the power plant is such that the stock capacity was much more than what Jakarta could utilize. So even as recently as 2003 or 2004, the state government of Kogi, under the leadership of Ibrahim Idris then, had to actually get, federal government approval to extend distribution network from Aimba, the university town, to Ajakuta, so as to get connected to the national grid from that power plant. I also recall that while the Soviets were constructing the steel plant itself, the Soviet Union workers, they were originally called Russians then, but it was the Soviet Union. The civil works in Ajakuta, that is the road network, the bridges, and all other ancillary infrastructure that is required, because it's the whole city really, it was handled by Western companies like Julius Berger, Fujiro, Dumais, Koch, just a number of them. Each of these companies, construction companies, had staff quarters for different categories of staff that they employed, from drivers to mid-management staffs, to management staff, and to the white expatriate staffs. And the most important thing I wanted to point out here is that these are large housing estates, so very large. Anyone who is familiar with Ajakuta will know what I'm talking about. Large communities, of workers. These communities were powered independently by these companies from the profit they made as construction
workers
companies.
Oh, okay.
They also provided water. Two things, water and electricity. Was 100% constant, running every single day. In Ajakuta, the first time I went to Ajakuta, actually, when I saw running water, I thought probably the tank was contaminated because it was running with such a product that it was foaming. So I thought probably they put a water tank and they mistakenly left some detergent inside the tank. That was the feeling I got. It was water pressure. What am I saying? This was not government providing this. This was a construction company. From the profit it made from constructing road and bridges, was able to provide housing, electricity, and water. It didn't stop at that. So if I were to give you what the beggar particularly did for our workers, you'll be surprised. Gas was supplied to them. The houses were furnished. Detergents, food, everything. It was like they brought the Western, the German social welfare benefits straight to the workers in Nigeria. But basically, they had water and electricity. Water and electricity. It doesn't blink. From embedded generator power. Now, the question is this. If construction companies were given contract by government to construct road, can set aside a certain amount of money from their profit to construct housing estates for their workers and provide them electricity and water, why has it become so difficult for states and local governments to be able to provide water and electricity for communities? Electricity is actually utility. It's a government responsibility. I keep making this point anywhere I go to. It's called utility. There's no rocket science to it. Thankfully, the government of between President Buhari's administration and Tinubu's administration, they have signed into law the Electricity Act 2023, which has given states. Look, with this power that have been given to states, we don't need AFDB or World Bank coming to give us electricity. Why are we not?
No, maybe not the electricity, but the funding. For example, this particular one is saying that the Nigerian grid battery energy storage system will benefit from the planned 500 million facility from the African Development Bank.
While it is important to say, okay, any help that comes in is appreciated.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, why should we as Nigerians even depend on external help for electricity when we have state governors that have monthly allocation? What are they doing with this allocation? If construction companies can provide electricity for their workers in housing estates that contain hundreds of families, why is it difficult for state governments to be able to put money down to provide electricity for citizens? And I think the media is not drumming this enough into the ears of government because they do not seem to understand yet that it's a responsibility to now provide electricity for citizens. So the federal government can begin to cool its feet, maintain the existing infrastructure, consolidate on it, improve on what we have now. But I don't think federal government even needs to do more in that regard. No. State governments, they've signed the Electricity Act into law. The best that I've seen states do is to put in place enabling laws to so-called attract investors. Nobody will come into electricity market in Nigeria as a private investor. Nobody. It won't happen. Because the person you are trying to attract knows that electricity is a social service. They know.
And the return on investment is not going to be rapid.
It's not. It's not supposed to be because it's a social service. They know. They know that in their own climb, their own part of the world, government provides electricity as a matter of utility. They know. Even in the United States of America, they know. So why would they come back and invest in commercial electricity generation, transmission and distribution? For what? That was when we initially wanted to privatize our power sector. We didn't get one single foreign investor that was willing to participate.
Manitoba wanted to come in, but our
transmission. For transmission.
Even at that, we just couldn't even.
Thank you. But they wanted to come for transmission because transmission is already in place, so to say. But you can measure transmission easily. If you just generate, you just put into the transmission grid, you can measure, you can get your money. But the other
generation and distribution,
the other parts of the value chain, the generation and distribution is problematic. Now, you don't have a proper mapping of your communities, of your society, to even know exactly how many people are going to consume this. At the state level too, most states have not implemented the Land Use Act to take into account the proper enumeration of the land tenure system as well as properties developed on this land that are in government archives. I don't think government has record at state level particularly. They don't have. What you have in Abuja is not really the case at the other state levels. No. Where Abuja has a concise land registry system, where the FCT administration can actually account for every property developed on Abuja soil. If you doubt, the day you go and start an illegal building anywhere, as if they have satellite everywhere, the next day it's been marked to show you that every
maybe
inch,
after you've dug your foundation and
every inch of Abuja soil is being monitored. It is not the same thing at the state level. So states should start being states by first acquiring all land, in line with the Land Use Act, plan properly, and take into account what are actually the properties, the settlement pattern in the state, in a very concise registry, where you can easily now know how to plan for the energy of the state. That's on one hand. But the primary responsibility to kickstart this enterprise lies with the state, and the media should begin to drum into the ears of governors that you abdicate your responsibility. If there's anything any governor should be doing now, if you ask me,
investing in that.
In electricity. Stop road construction, stop all these bridges and flyovers. Go and do the basic things that can support productivity in your state. Electricity.
Okay, well, at least the Minister of the FCT is not a governor, but it's something he can do. He just won the Minister of the FCT.
No, he can actually do the same thing. FCT is self-governing.
Yeah.
In fact, FCT is the most successful subnational government in Nigeria, to the extent that I'm beginning to think that, are you sure Nigeria will not adopt a unitary system where the 36 states of the federation will be similarly administered by an appointed minister by the president?
Is it the system or the individual? Because we had the same system in place and other ministers could not even achieve valid points.
I think the system, Abuja has done well since inception, far ahead of other states. Abuja has better infrastructure. Abuja has better institutions, bureaucracy, including the judiciary. Abuja is some of the best, even though we still think they need to improve. Some of the best public schooling system in Nigeria is in Abuja. Some of the best healthcare systems in Nigeria is still in Abuja, public healthcare system, even though it needs improvement. If you go to some other parts of the country, it's nothing to write home about. Abuja has been administered by the federal government. The truth is this: when it comes to bureaucratic management, the federal government is doing far better than states. Yes, far. I mean, you'll be surprised to hear this. Far better than states. We've had presidents that are not as emperor-like as governors, that have somehow allowed the bureaucracy to function in an autonomous manner. So FCT budget, for emphasis, is not larger than many of your producing states or Lagos. No. FCT gets an allocation of 1% of what the federal government gets, which is an average of what an average size state in Nigeria gets, really. So if you look at the FCT budget, the first FCT budget will get to 1 trillion mark was under Wiki when he had to borrow 500 million to augment it. I mean, FCT, everything you've seen in FCT, to all the road infrastructure you've seen, everything you've seen in FCT, was done within the same budget that state gets even more of resources to do. So FCT can actually think of this power project as well. Yeah, which is within their purview to do so. So all we need to do is to simply get approval for the president to say, look, we want to float our own power company in Abuja. And it's lucky because Abuja is already well planned. So if there's one place that investors can actually come to partner with the state, is Abuja, because it is fairly well mapped out. So you can easily track and recover your fund. But even at that, the risk of that heavy lifting for such an investment has to come from the state. So FCT administration, alongside other states, should think of how to put monies down, put your investment down to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity for citizens.
I mean, with all that you've said, 2030 is still possible. We need the right people, we need the political will, we need the resources. I don't know. We all need all hands to make it happen, but I'm not going to daydream about that. I don't know.
Thank you for not dreaming about it.
I've been screaming up NEPA from when I became conscious and aware that I was born on this earth.
Yesterday.
I'm going to dare to dream.
All right.
I'm going to dare to dream. Yes, I am.
I am.
Martin Luther King.
No, seriously, because I know sometimes you can be very, very critical about some of the policy directions of this government, but is it safe to say that this is one of the dry seasons that felt somewhat like a rainy season in terms of electricity supply? Typically,
it depends on where you're living, ma.
Oh, well,
in
I know.
In one part of town.
Sir?
Not so.
Sir? We should be able to relate on this. If it is based on the parts of town.
Okay. Meaning you have supply, you do not have supply, which is...
I'm thinking that we're experiencing better power supply to some extent.
What do I say? It depends on the part of town you are living.
No, by the grace of God.
It depends on the part of town you are living, actually. So,
well, I think, I'm going to leave it to the people to say that. But I would say that to some extent, maybe, we're still hung up on the increase in tariff and all of that. But to some extent, it's not as bad, in my opinion, as it has been in previous years. It's almost felt like rainy season to me.
Well, the hope is to actually have some improvement. So
yes,
it's a
some
good
improvement.
one. If
it might be slow.
If the minister is listening, be like, yeah, thank you. At least all of the work and the reform, at least one person can testify to an improvement. Yes. Indeed. All right, let's look at another story quickly. We'll get your feedback in a bit. You can touch on this when we open up the phone line. And you know how they are shipping people en masse to other parts of the world. Donald Trump, the only thing left now is for him to get a big canoe and just put people like a Titanic ship and just be moving. From Mexico to Colombia, where the Colombian president wanted to put up a fight. He now realized that this Donald Trump is not following. His one is a dog world right now, and decided, you know what, I will send a plane, just bring my people, don't just humiliate them when he heard about tariff. But I hear that some of our people are lined up already. Somebody can give us the detail of this?
Yes, absolutely. Of the 1.445549 non-citizens on ICE's non-detained docket list, with final orders of removal as of November 24, 2024. We have Nigeria, that is, has 3,690 persons on the list waiting to be shipped back. Apparently, we're number 2 on the list of most citizens when you look at the numbers, just behind Somalia, who had 4,090 people waiting to be shipped back to their countries. Ghana held third spot with 3,228 illegal immigrants, and Mexico had the highest number of people penciled for deportation with 252,044. Of course, the U.S. government has urged countries to accept the return of their nationals, and they say lack of cooperation from the foreign government, delays, and in many cases, lack of cooperation from the foreign governments is inhibiting the removal process. This is according to the news report by the Cable.
So that's the number of people projected to return.
3,690 coming back home, yes, to Nigeria.
Let's be sure, these are people that are undocumented. These are people that are not living
Nigerians,
legally.
Yeah.
So let's say
it doesn't mean they've held all of them and they're shipping them. We're just saying this number of people.
Illegal immigrants in America.
On the list.
Yes.
On the list. Illegal.
Yes.
So, so that people don't get away with the impression that they just banded a group of Nigerians together to shoot them home because they are Nigerians.
The number is even low. I was thinking it was going to be more than that, honestly. I'm impressed.
Well,
I'm proud of us that we're not more than this.
Are you sure this is not a batch A, batch B kind of thing?
I hope not.
It just might be because, when you think about the term illegal immigrants, some people just think, people that snuck in. There's various categories of what the US and Trump in particular is considering as illegal. And so let's say perhaps this is the first.
The minute you overstay your visa,
you are illegal.
Even though IOM, because I've been trained properly and they say no human is illegal. You're an undocumented migrant. I don't call anyone illegal migrant, undocumented or irregular.
Tell that to Trump.
They definitely will not be listening.
Tell that to any country. any country.
On paper, yes, but in theory, they're not listening because it still refers to them as illegal aliens at this point in time.
Okay.
So well within his right to want to clean up his country. How do we prepare ourselves to receive? The number is significant also.
So we have one agency called NIDCOM.
Yeah.
And they should be up and doing by now.
She said they are ready. Government is awaiting the return of our people.
So we shouldn't do the kind of thing that Colombia tried to do.
No. I was going to ask you, should we even try for 1 minute
please.
and tell Donald Trump, hey.
Please. let's not overstretch our luck.
Exactly.
So when I come back home, and again, this is a wake-up call for the entire African continent.
Mm-hmm.
Another part of the world that are not doing well. Look at the list. How many Saudi citizens are on the list? How many Qatari citizens? How many Emiratis? How many Omanis? How many British citizens are on that list? How many people from South Africa are on that list?
Okay, that one hurts.
No, but
that
South
one
Africa
hurts.
has that because I saw South Africa.
Many?
That one hurts, Dr. Majid. Like when you're talking about, UK, Saudi.
So how many? How many? What's the number? So it tells you that any country where the government is doing well for the citizens, they have no reason to want to go and stay in somebody's country illegally or why they want to give it. So it's a wake-up call. I think we need to do more to put pressure at home so that our home can be livable. And like I said to my brother who lives in the US last week, the black man will not be respected anywhere in the world until motherland Africa develops. It's a reality. It is a reality. By the time, those you accuse of racism, by the time they beam their TV networks on news content from Africa, all they say is war, poverty, the fall of Goma in DRC, the Warebe group, Sudan, South Sudan versus North Sudan, North Sudan versus North Sudan, South Sudan versus South Sudan. By the time they see all of these things and see the poverty and see the fact that Africa is a continent where 600 million people are without electricity, there is no way they will not. It's a natural thing. People wonder, are you sure you guys are actually created to do well for yourselves and for others? So if you cannot do well for yourselves in your own homeland, don't come and derail us here. It's a natural instinct of man. But the Chinese man today is respected hugely in the United States of America. You can rival them, you can despise them.
I have Chinese on that list though, and they're one of the highest. Other countries on this, China.
So I'm trying to get the facts exactly. I think ICE, or ICE as we're calling them, says they have a total of 7 million people. 7 million people. I think the 1.4 are the non-detained on the list. So by the time you look at the 7 million, some of the people that make up that 7 million, that's when we now start looking at the China and the other countries. Apparently, this 7 million include those held in federal, state, or local jails, but are not directly in ICE custody.
But the thing is, they actually do have Chinese people there.
Yes, they do. They do to make up the 7 million.
So that's what I'm saying. It tells you that if this was happening 50 years ago, Chinese would have been much more on this list. But they have come a long way. They have proven themselves that, look, we're a country of 1 billion people, and we've been able to pull out half of our people out of poverty in the last 50 years. And we're still doing more. They are rivaling America's economy neck to neck. So they have been able to earn this respect. That doesn't mean that if any of them still finds if your citizen today goes to America illegally, he'll be told out. Nobody will consider him being a Saudi man and not. No. I'm just saying that the proportion of the people from countries that are not doing too well is evident in this. And that is why we must begin to ask ourselves this question. We can do well. We're not inferior to the white man in any way. It's just bad leadership that has kept us where we are, while good leadership has elevated them to where they are too.
But Dr. Majeed, you see on this conversation around bad leadership and good leadership, I know that to some extent when you look at African countries, we tend to rank pretty high on the list. But I think there's even a bigger conversation that needs to be had around what's the word now? Image management, if you can call it that, right? Even some of these Western countries where they have bad leadership, they find ways to project themselves in a better light.
Western countries, bad leadership. Can you give me an example?
Well, I mean, you can't say.
You should not expect that.
No, wait, don't look at me like that. Hold up. So when I'm talking about bad leadership, there are countries where their democracy is not as advanced, right? Or how would I put? Not that it's not that advanced, but they're dealing with some of the same issues we're dealing with: corruption on a certain scale. They're dealing with poverty on a certain scale as well.
Western countries.
Some Western
countries.
Some Western countries, I would say, yes. Is it the problem is that I'm using Western countries? Because when we say the West, we typically think anywhere else that is not
Western
Africa.
Europe and the North Americans.
So Canada.
Those who do not...
No, now.
United States of America.
Dr. Majeed, step it down. That's it. Perhaps the problem here is that I use the word Western.
Exactly.
So, Northern Ireland.
If you look at generalized data, maybe like countries in the global South, we might be able to relate, but the meaning to call Western.
I'm trying to read out the country.
Let's take the West out of it.
Germany,
Let's take the West out of it. Dr. Majeed, calm down. Calm down. Let's take the term West out of it.
The West, you got to manage a bad leadership. No Western leader. Let me tell you this today. In the midst of misery, in the midst of poverty, brought upon us by President Tinubu's twin policies of subsidy and flotation of the naira, among many other policies. Our president bought a new presidential jet in between that time we're having that conversation. This is something that no Western leader can dare. As far as Israel, you dare not. Look, Netanyahu, this Netanyahu has seen, that's a warrior. Netanyahu and his wife have been in trouble several over how much? The woman only ordered food, though. She didn't steal. Netanyahu didn't took her inside government money and pack it. No. Netanyahu's wife was fond of ordering for food when she has visitors in their own state house. So they will supply the food and payment waters will be processed for it. So over 3 years, the bill accumulated to a little over $100,000. This was our first, was convicted though. That there is food in the kitchen already budgeted for. If you have visitors, go to the kitchen, wash your hand and cook for them. Cook a goosey soup, cook okra soup, cook churro shikafa for them. Don't order pizza from Sagadiku or from Javidiku. No. Cook. That was the first she was convicted for. It tells you how wealthy Israel is. $100,000 plus was an issue. How will first lady be ordering food? For visitors that came to visit the first family, why did you order for food? Was all. It's not her husband falsified government record to inflate contract. It's not even. Nobody can even imagine that one in that part of the world.
It takes my mind to South Korea, where the wife of the president, the former one that's been removed, was accused of always carrying expensive designer bags.
So the question is,
it's not even a third world country, but yeah, they still say
not that there was evidence that she stole money.
No.
Well, are you sure you're not something we don't know? A South Korean president was also asked to resign because she had a very close friend. That was Benson. So that was first time I had the word influence peddling. So she was like, you're not an official of government, but because you're close to the president, you tend to speak to one minister and speak to the other minister.
Yeah.
She was removed from office and put on trial. You see, Donald Trump, for all his rascality, for those of you who think he's a rascal, have you ever wondered why no record has shown that in his first 4 years as president, the $1 was missing that was traceable to Donald Trump? Nothing, it can't happen. So the standard of bad leadership that the Western has complained of, but if you haven't complained about their leaders,
standards are different because Donald Trump is also seen, like, in terms of leadership quality, perceived by some because of the conviction.
You see, the conviction is
so it might not be about stealing money, which is our problem.
What was the conviction? What was it
there
about?
are moral issues they bring out.
That is, they've got to, I'm saying for us that are in Nigeria, let us stop discussing their own leadership failure. We'll start, fix your own first.
So maybe humble.
Face your own.
Exactly.
No, you see, the Chinese and the Indians don't discuss this kind of things because they know that, hey, this people have got to a level where the point is that Donald Trump, many years ago, had something to do with one babe, and the government not to talk about it. What is offensive? In Nigeria, what offense is this one now? That what is it? So we say, when we were in high school, as I said, this senator resigned, because when he was in high school, during the party, he touched somebody somewhere, and the person came out after 50 years to complain, so he would cry and go and resign.
We had a parliamentarian in the UK who resigned because he had a wife somewhere, CCTV caught him just hugging too much.
That's all.
I rest my case.
So you see, we're not on the same pedestal.
Not on the same. That is why the quality of life there is far better. It's a direct reflection of the kind of leadership they have. So the kind of crisis they have for leadership, I think that doesn't concern the common man. No. It will hardly concern the common man. Really, your basic feeding, shelter, and clothing. It will hardly touch on it. In fact, they've gone beyond that level, really. So we need to even step up a bit. If the only problem with our leaders is that they are touching somebody anyhow and anywhere, well, we will be complaining.
We will complain later. We will complain.
So really, and you can't call about leadership. Like I said, look, no Western leader can commit an infraction and get caught up by the city. It's not possible. The kind of press to start with is even not regulated. They can write anything and say anything they want to say. Right. Presidents have actually fought. Look at Richard Nixon. It was journalist. It was a journalistic work on the activities around Watergate, the headquarters of the Democratic Party that was wiretapped and being spied on. And it was believed he had the tacit approval of Richard Nixon. Nixon resigned now.
Watergate scandal.
When they said Egbon Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, I don't know what they said we are doing. I don't know. I've forgotten. What did they say we are doing again? I mean, he was impeached, but okay, somehow. Okay. And some people didn't actually forgive Hillary for forgiving him. Until today, he's still against Hillary. That, okay, you didn't forgive him because of power, you didn't forgive him. And you didn't forgive him. You should have, that's the kind of scrutiny that leaders go through. The governor of New York once resigned, Mr. Elliott. Why? He had a client. So the client recorded his name as number 13 in her register. Somehow a journalist found out that this number 13 is the governor of New York, Mr. Elliott. When he blew open, the guy resigned. So these are the kind of people we are talking about. They've not stolen money yet. I mean, I don't think it can happen anymore.
No,
they've gone beyond that level.
We're even talking about the general in Israel who resigned because he said October 7 happened under my watch.
Under my watch. I mean, why did I detect it to prevent it?
It was my job to correct it. So
he resigned.
His people will be criticizing him. You were a general and this thing happened, but we're not there.
Even the effort Netanyahu has put in. If you see what Netanyahu has done in the Middle East, because of October 7, he has somehow been able to decapitate all of the capabilities of his enemies, of the enemies of his nation, of the nation of Israel, all from Hamas to Syria, Assad Syria, to Hezbollah, and even Iran by extension. Do you know that he's still under pressure politically for some of them misdemeanor that they accuse him of doing? So you're wondering. So after doing all of this does not guarantee him stay in power forever. They are still boxing him left. In fact, they won't accuse him of mismanaging the war. And there are some people still died in this war. As if he can be everywhere at the same time. That is the kind of standard they hold to the leaders. So we're not even doing that. We are even trying for them. We still commend them. You see, Nigeria is big coins. Leaders for doing their job.
Like Wike now, Minister of the Year.
We are commending Wike. Have you ever watched Sierra?
Dr. Majeed, our standard is so low that if you exceed a little
or if you beat up
above average,
we will praise you.
Commend you. He's paying pension, no? Yeah, he's paying salaries. No, he's a good man. He's trying.
So
we tried.
As a matter of fact, if I was still on WhatsApp in Abuja, I was going to, come and just shout about everywhere you go, roads are.
So you see that even the media in Nigeria, if anybody is giving cover to his leadership, I think it's Nigeria. In Nigeria, we are really indulging our leaders. When the person say we say they're trying. They try though. He's paying pension regularly now. He's trying.
You can see it already now. It feels like rainy season because there's light.
I'm asking her to maybe it's in your own compound though.
All right, Jesse, Audrey says. Oh boy, Jesse, we see you on YouTube. Wale Tony says it's a shame that one of the best of us, like Dr. Majeed, can't govern the rest of us instead of the worst of us, have always found their way to power. God bless you, Dr. Majeed, for our forthrightness. And Rose City said, brave and sound mind of Dr. Majeed, please come educate Donald Trump on democracy. We have issues right now. And let's... are you on Facebook?
I'm on WhatsApp.
All right. Ogbonna Efoke is on Facebook. He says, I employed the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission to prepare adequately, ensuring our citizens are treated with dignity when their turn comes. We should treat them with respect. Acknowledging their decision to travel abroad in search of greener pasture is a direct result of the failure of our own system, which has left our pasture dry and barren. Wow. Ike Ajala says, please work on the app or it stopped working. I'll let the tech guys know. Joseph Donaldson, Nigeria, my country, when we're ready to fix and make Nigeria better, then we'll all do the right thing. We don't have leaders that are creative. These present leaders, they've shown up. No much in terms of vision. That's his opinion. Also, Francis Namani, live from Amagunze in Enugu State, says, good afternoon, everyone in the studio. Keep up the good work. We appreciate you for joining us on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info Abuja. Go there, leave your comment also. Let's look at someone on WhatsApp.
All right, Tunde from Central Business District says, good afternoon. Kim and everyone in the studio, why are APC presidents towing the same line? Why are they not patriotic to their fatherland, he says. The last time I checked, Buhari globetrots the whole universe, wasting our lean resources. This current president is towing the same line, he says. Why can't they think of hosting such meetings here to help our economy instead of running out and collecting ESTA codes every now and then? Tunde with that message. Moving on, Austin from Yanya says, good afternoon, Kim and Dr. Majeed. What Dr. Majeed just described about Ajaokuta was same with Delta Steel Company, Alaja. Our federal and state government should be up and doing in their responsibilities of providing essential services to the masses of this country. We have endured enough. TY here saying, I think we have blamed the media enough for not holding government to account. Where is the opposition and what are they doing? Are they now like Gomos, who also says, you just talked my mind? Are they in agreement with what the government is doing? Is the government doing what they intended to have done if they won the elections? The opposition should wake up, come out from their hiding and live up to the billing. Why should private entities be more productive than the government? Yeah, some more messages here? Okay.
We have a voice note, don't we?
Yes, we do. Let's see. 2, as a matter of fact, with what the government is doing. Is the government doing what they intended to have done if they won the elections? Okay, let me take the messages while the voice notes are dropping. Hello, Sumi. Good to hear your voice again. Topper here with that one. She also says, a pleasant afternoon. Kim, Dr. Majeed, God bless you for your sacrifice and consistency on Nigeria Info. Okay, perhaps you should try loading the...
All right. I'll take a few more and let's see if it will drop from here.
Okay, absolutely, Kim. The talk is too much. In fact, this is another jamboree to go drink tea and share ESTA codes. It's not the World Bank that will give you data on the energy shortfall. Does the World Bank know my village? This World Bank rhetoric and their voodoo economics is getting too much in our lives due to irresponsible leadership. Dar es Salaam declaration is not worth the paper it's written on. They watch.
Wow. Okay, let's hear this.
Good afternoon, Sister Kim. Good afternoon, Somi. Good afternoon, Dr. Majeed. My name is Samuel Nwana. Just voicing from Masaka. What Mr. Majeed was saying about Ajaokuta is absolute truth, because I have stayed in Ajaokuta from 97 to 99. And what he was saying is right, because I was staying in one of the camp built by Fijiro. The name of that camp is FFN. Everything was supplying by the company. 48 hours from January to December. No interruption of light, no interruption of water. Unless if they are going on maintenance, they will announce. Thank you.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. We have one more story. Maybe we just touch on that story before we open up the phone lines. And talking about the opposition, PDP Board of Trustee meeting today. And apparently their crises have not been resolved because, who is recognized by court, who isn't enough to even be there in the first instance is still playing out for someone to be chased out and a fight to break out. Like, no, why is these people hanging out with people in there? My people are not in there. The meeting is still ongoing. I wonder if PDP will be able to sort itself out from this trustee meeting. You don't think so, Dr. Majeed?
Kim, did I not tell you for the election? There's nothing. I think we should switch places. Let me sit down there. I'll be asking you these questions. Look, we tried to draw the attention of the PDP to a grave sin is about to commit in 2023. When the PDP violated its own policy of zoning, when you talk, people out of sentiment, people just don't want to listen. I said, if the PDP violates zoning, and I wrote a piece on it, that if the PDP picks a candidate from the north in 2023 election, that it will be sailing against the wind, because the general opinion the country has the power to shift to the south. It will be sailing against the wind. And when a ship or a boat sails against the wind, what happens to it? It will run into troubled waters. It will capsize and it will sink. And the party risk going to oblivion. This was the verbatim words I used. What you are seeing happening in the PDP now is still an after effect, after shock of that grave sin. You know, the Bible says that the wages of sin is what?
Death.
PDP is likely going to die. PDP cannot function anymore.
Oh dear.
A lot has gone wrong with the PDP. So what you see, the battle you are seeing in the PDP is a battle for the soul of a dying party.
Oh dear.
Atiku's ambition killed the PDP effectively. Nyesom Wike, the man who was the most hot off from that zoning miscarriage, is conducting the funeral rites of PDP now. Because it is in this interest. Let me tell you.
The fact that they've not been able to even purge him out of the system tells you everything.
Wike out of, which is it Wike that will purge PDP out of the system, or is it Wike that will purge Wike? Who is PDP? What is PDP without Wike?
Can one man be that powerful?
Because the rule in the PDP is money. And Wike is the biggest spender in PDP.
Can we say that of him today?
He's still a member of the PDP. You think he's not
No, but biggest spender isn't the whole thought back then the fact that he was in control of oil money in the southern part of the country.
And he's spending it. Look, this is what we're discussing now is typical Nigerian establishment politics, which is something that no country should experience. So what we're analyzing now is not the idea, but this is the reality of where we are. The PDP functions with money. That's why I was excited when we saw the emergence of the obedient movement that functioned without money and made some successes. Meaning that, okay, we can have the kind of politics you have in the West, in Africa. That was a signal. That was a hope. A ray of hope. However, those that benefited from that movement also, they've joined their counterparty to the other party and have betrayed, which something I've also been pointing out from day one. As soon as there was a transition, I said, the Labour guys are failing. But back to PDP. So PDP cannot function with no money. What is the ideology of PDP? Millions of Americans trooped out to vote for Donald Trump because Trump had a clear-cut ideology. Some can be crazy, some can be extreme, but there's something different from what he's saying and what Joe Biden stands for, simple and short. So if you think you need an alternative to what you have, what the status quo, you vote for Trump. You're going to even donate to him and vote for him. No American was voting for money to vote for Trump. It's we saw happen in the UK. It saw happen even in Ghana here. You saw what happened in Ghana, the strength of the opposition. You saw what happened in South Africa when the DA moved up the ladder a little bit because of the strength of his performance in the provinces it controls and his ideas. So it had to force the ANC into a government of national unity. Yes. In Nigeria, the PDP stands for nothing and force for everything. Nothing.
Is that exclusive to the PDP though?
All opposition parties, but PDP being the solid matter in discussion now. So the only thing that would have retained the PDP, given it relevance, was to have done the right thing in 2023 and lose. And what was the right thing? For 30 kind of reasons. The PDP is supported mainly by the South-South, the Southeast, and we have some people called the Middle Belt in Nigeria, parts of the North. That is the support base of the PDP, traditionally. Even when the APC came on board in 2015, somehow these regions still managed to give solidarity and support to the PDP. Now, the PDP made a mistake in 2015 by feeding Jonathan for that election. They have feeded the Northerner to the turn of the North. It suffered for that miscalculation. That was why when the party wanted to regain its relevance, the command report identified the reason why the PDP lost election to be evaluated zoning. So 2019, a Northerner should emerge. So by 2019, the primary election in PDP was an all-Northern affair. All. Tambuwa was supported strongly by Nyesom Wike. YPT Obi and the Southeast Bloc supported Atiku Abubakar, Ekwemadu and Co. to emerge. So Port Harcourt was like a two-horse race between these two people. And when they emerged, Wike, whose candidate actually lost, but lost free and square, gave the largest single support. Look, these are things I know and I will not want to... Single largest support by anybody to Atiku in that election. Maybe the day Wike will write his memoir or the day Atiku will write his own, they will both tell us how much exchange hands. Don't tell me how the source of the money came from, but this is typical Nigerian politics. You always hear that governors are the ones funding party. That's what I'm talking about. In 2023, when I said so, there's a national consensus that the power should move to the south. Why? Two reasons. Apart from the fact that Buhari has been in power for 8 years. Buhari was in power. Buhari practically led Nigeria down the road to Sudan. So it was not a coincidence that at the meeting where power shift was demanded in Asaba, It was actually a meeting that was called to address the crisis posed to Nigeria by killer herdsmen. You see, the general consensus in the South was that because Buhari shared the ethnicity with this group of people, he is not, as commander-in-chief, wielding the big stick enough. And so the general consensus across South was, okay, let the position shift to the South. Since if it remains in the North, we don't know whether one of them again will pick it from any of the geopolitical zones in the North. So for the first time, we saw a unity between the old Western region, the Yorubas, the Igbos, and people of the South, demanding for presidency. Akeredolu was the chairman of Southern Governors Forum. You could see the way he managed that process. Yeah. So the APC guys saw this as a message and decided among themselves that perhaps we should go to the South. Let's separate ourselves. After in 2015, these people supported us to take power back to the North. So the Rufais and the other governors rallied. Even though Buhari was not committed to it, but they managed to just get some party delegates to, enthrone Bola Tinubu as the candidate. And why did Bola Tinubu emerge in the first place? It was because of Atiku's emergence prior. PDP did their own primary election before the APC. When Atiku emerged, we said this was wrong. Because as at this time, the Southeast was resolute that was their turn to president. And the Southeast is the live wire of the PDP. In Nigeria, we have 3 major tribes. Sorry, but because of identity politics again. APC seems to be popular in the North and the Southwest. Why the PDP has the Igbo ethnic group as its major support base. I said, you can't, in trying to chase another wife, the one that told me to take care of her, other you lose her, and you look at you
lose altogether, yeah.
They took the Southeast for granted. Atiku went ahead to pick the ticket at the time that Tambuwal was supposed to be supporting Wike, while Atiku should have played the role of a statesman by mobilizing his influential blocks in the North to support Peter Obi. So whoever emerges between these two will run the ticket. It doesn't matter whether they win or not. This zone, this support base would have been assured that this party did not betray us when it mattered most. But guess what? The Southeast is feeling betrayed. The South is feeling betrayed. So what's happening now is this. Now that Ashwaji managed to clinch the presidency, and thanks to his own political dexterity, he's been able to weave a consensus, and this is very important for us to take note of, across the South. Let me tell you this. Majority of the governors in the South that are of PDP and no party extraction are firmly in support of Atiwaju's re-election in 2027 ahead already. Firmly, yes.
Well, right now it doesn't feel like there's any strong, contender against the president at this point in time.
PDP presidency from the North, for example, in 2027, and the Southern presidency on APC platform from the South, they are Southerners first when they became PDP members. They are all supporting Tinubu. That's the truth I'm telling you. So even the PDP as we speak, all the factions fighting in the PDP are all pro-Tinubu people. First, Senator Anyanwu, the incumbent secretary, supported by Wike. Have you seen the relationship between the Enugu State Governor and Tinubu?
Yeah. I mean, he was there at the first state visit.
So all of this fight is just for maybe their own local dynamics. But the real issue is that those of them in the South that have what it takes to propose this party as a viable opposition are not doing so. Including Fubara. Fubara is supporting Tinubu as well. It's a Southern thing. Yes. It's a Southern thing. It is a Southern thing. And there is this impression out there too that whatever it is whatever Tinubu shortcomings might have been, at least the army is not know that they are chasing after Bello Turji. And then they've killed his son, they've killed his wife, they've killed her. I'm going to catch him. We're no longer hearing dialogue, to live together, blah, blah, blah. So meaning there's a renewed political will to fight this menace that raised concern and led to the acquisition to power for party to the South in the first place, under Buhari administration. And if you know what Nigeria went through, I was on this program with you through that period. That trauma, anybody that can be seen to be fighting this menace is okay.
Is welcome.
Is welcome in some quarters. This is the dynamic. So PDP is lost.
But Dr. Majeed, do you think it can still be salvaged if there's a coalition, even though everybody is speaking from both sides of their mouths at this point? Obi is saying one thing, you say, oh, that was misconstrued. This is not what I meant for power grab. Like, dude, you're a politician, speak like one. But you know what? It's all over the place. So you start to really wonder, can it be salvaged if we have a solid third first, like a coalition?
It can, two ways. But let me just leave it the other way, which is more idealistic. But let's just come to the more realistic way. Assume, for instance, you have a coalition that was like the APC that wants to take power by, and what Obi tried to say he is not in support of, coming together for purpose of power grab and then sharing the loot and all of that. He's right to that extent. But what I'm sure he's trying to correct is that, no, I will still need coalition, but around an agenda to save Nigeria, not to continue or perpetuate bad governance. Fine. The truth is, the only way that can happen at that coalition, I've seen El-Rufai speaking out against the APC. I've seen Atiku ever present in such conversations. The only way a TP president can be threatened as it stands today, in the absence of an ideologically Puritan party that can mobilize people across the board based on ideological belief to upset the apple cart. The only way that this coalition can be taken seriously is if El-Rufai today, as Buhari's heir apparent in the north, and one of the most influential northerners from the Muslim north, politically speaking, works with Atiku to convince the north to back a southern candidate against Tinubu in 2027.
You see an RFI doing that?
It's a bit to take a miracle, but I'm saying it's the only miracle to take. I think it's more specific. If you want to defeat Tinubu in 2027, if you want to defeat him decisively, it will take the North to zero down their support to Peter Obi. The same way the South decided to defeat Jonathan then by supporting a northerner like Buhari, who already had a strong support base in this one part of the country. So with the Peter Obi, who has arguably between 7 and 10 million support base intact, because it's the Buhari of this era anyway. If the North decide to say, okay, let us forgive 1966, and just for the purpose of anybody but Tinubu, if that miracle can happen, then it can create that tectonic shift, because that moral situation of let us give justice to this third tripod of our nation.
So, Dr. Majeed, we're still holding this narrative that it takes a region to decide who becomes president and who becomes leader.
He did not think it can bring out a northern candidate to challenge Tinubu.
Because we saw a movement happen, and it could just be an organic movement of young people who are deciding.
We have to be spurred through an ideologically induced political movement. And in absence of that, I'm just saying, assuming that because I'm not saying of the leaders that have the ideas that can spur such a movement anymore. But in that absence, talking about coalition, the only thing this coalition can achieve is if the North and its leaders take a decision today that if we don't want Tinubu for whatever reason we don't want him anymore, we now want an Igbo man called Peter Obi. After he has been going about, he's been drilling bows in the North, he's been going on continental visits, so he's been wearing their cap. He's been down, he's warming up to them now. If they zero down on him, and seriously and sincerely so, a lot of Nigerians will feel that, can we put a close to both Biafra matter, all those, okay, let us allow this one to do, even if it was just one time to complete Southern turn.
Yeah.
It might create that tectonic shift at the base. But if you bring it under, the South will come together as a bloc. And by whatever means possible, Tinubu retains power will be justified and legitimized as an effort against political domination by one section of the country.
All right.
Dr. Majeed, okay, you wanted to...
I have just a caller waiting. Can we just hear him?
Okay, let's take the call.
Sorry about
Hello, no problem. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi, Kimberly. Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Dr. Majeed. My name is
Good
Omar.
afternoon, sir.
I'm calling from Guarimpa. All right, very brilliant discussion. And I've always supported your point where I said that Atiku is a major problem in PDP. And we can go back, and how, when the other governors stepped out, when they were having where he moved to APC and, moved back and forth. So he has been a major problem for PDP. And the sooner they realize that, the better for them. Because 2023 was clear. It was agreed that the power will shift to the south. How then did an Atiku come into the calculation? Selfish interest. And I think that is where, we should, because if you look back, you'll notice that he doesn't have a real ideology because he's now in the PDP, he switches to the APC, he switches to this. What is his ideology? And that is where the major problem is. If they want to, to fight back, because like Wike is not in PDP anymore. He's there by name, but we can see that he's an APC, sorry to use the word stooge, but that is what he is. For you to have supported the president wholeheartedly and, left your party. But like you said, if in 2027 we want to see a change, a southern government, or rather a southern candidate facing Tinubu and nothing else. Another candidate will just fail woefully, and that's the truth. Well done, Dr. Majeed. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you
sir.
very much. You want to say something? For
Yes, I recall, Dr. Majeed, you said you were going to leave the idealistic possibility aside. Perhaps you want to touch on that a little bit, because for some reason I got wary when I heard you call the same old players in the conversation of our politics. But I don't know if time will allow you get into that now before the news. Dorcas is
Time
here.
will not allow, so we might as well just hear this caller and make way for Dorcas to prepare for her news.
Good afternoon, Dr. Majeed.
Good afternoon, sir.
I greet you. I greet the Oracle. So I greet you. I will use the 1 minute correctly. For PDP, they have gone and they have gone forever, because one man is there and he will make sure that PDP is buried completely. Then come to the issue of this power. I want them to ask Tanzania, how come do they have power to this extent that they have excess power? They were shutting their power plant. Qatar, they are not up to 3 million. They generate 40,000 megawatts. South Africa generates 60,000 megawatts. Egypt generates almost 60,000 megawatts. If we can be able to generate 50,000 or 30,000 megawatts, I think Nigeria will move forward. So they should do something about that, so that we have a steady electricity in this country. Just look at what you say about Ajakuta. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. And I think we can take this one quickly also. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Dr. Majeed. This is Ruth. I wanted to ask you a question. The PDP as a party presenting a Southerner to fight it new. Do you know that the PDP we are talking about is owned by Wiki and is G5? Then who will now select a Southerner when they are already with the incumbent? And in the Southerner you are talking about, almost
all right, sir.
the governors are backing the incumbent. He has gotten all of them by his side.
All right, sir. Thank you.
So how are they?
We need to run through the news. Dorcas is seated for the news at the top of the hour. Still with 95.1 Nigeria Info. Continue with the midweek special afterwards.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.